I showed up late. Can you explain what introspection is? Sure. So actually, technically, there's different words. There's introspection and there's reflection, and there's different levels at which these things happen. But basically, what we're talking about is in most programming languages, you typically have well, obviously, a programming language is all about specifying structure of some kind, right? You are expressing the structure of data, you're expressing the structure of code, you're expressing all of these sort of structures, right? And they could be literal structures, like in C, it's a struct, it's literally just a collection of data. It could be a function, right? A series of things to execute with loops and whatever. And the compiler for your language knows what these things are. It has to, because it has to then turn that into working code, right? And so the key thing to understand is that structure actually has a semantic form somewhere inside the compiler while it's compiling the code. Now, languages that have a clue, languages that were made by people who know what they're doing, that's not even true. Languages that just, any language should have this, but C++ doesn't because it's just not maintained by people who know what they're doing. So C++ lacks a very crucial feature that most modern languages have. And that feature is the ability to look at those structures from within the code, right? So the structures that the compiler knows about inherently, you can get them during the compilation phase and do things with them that allow you to work with your code in very powerful ways. So for example, here is our entity structure that we were playing around with on Handmade Hero, right? It has these fields in it. I would like to print them out. There is no way in C or C++ to say, tell me all the members of the sim entity structure so that I can print them out. You can do it in other languages. You can do it in JavaScript even. You know, you can do it in all these languages. C++ can't do it. And that basic capability is called introspection. It's also sometimes called reflection, which is if you have the ability, I think, to like work to actually do more complicated operations than that. It's sort of it's a thing that it's a more stringent requirement, I think, on top of it. But point being, whatever you call it, what we're talking about here on the stream is the ability to do that. C++ doesn't have it, so what I showed on tonight's stream is how to implement it, right? How to put it back in there, because the C++ community is obviously never going to get around to it. So you need to, right? And so that's what we wrote. This is just a very simple little preprocessor that we can run on our code. And you know, here is that struct, right? That sim entity struct, and you can see when I go ahead and run this, right? In fact, I'll bring it up on here. Here's my sim region code, and here's we ran our preprocessor, and you can see it printed out the members, right? Old chunk, storage, index, right? That sort of stuff. And we've got some bugs here, like this guy, right? You can kind of see even what happened. Oh, you know what? I introduced a bug, actually. You can see that we did it correctly before, but when I did that code just now for the recursive descent, spoke a little too soon. So if you look at that code for the recursive descent, there is sort of a nasty problem with it, which is if you look at these two guys, this one handled the semicolon end of stream thing. It would properly eat till the semicolon, but a recursive descent thing didn't. So really, until we do that, I guess I can't quite switch to that. And I'll put in, I didn't mean to undo pseudonym 73's thing here. Yeah, so it would not have worked properly the way that we were doing it before. Oops, I'm in the wrong place. There we go. Okay. So yeah, our original one worked better. I knew I must have had a reason for doing that way, but anyway. So you can see that we printed them out here. We got old chunk storage index updatable, type, flags, p, dp, distance limit, collision, facing direction, tbob, dabs, tile, hit point, max hit point, sword, walkable dim, and walkable height, right? And so basically what we did there is add that introspection back in. So now inside our preprocessor, we can do whatever we want with those things, right? And that's exactly what we needed and what C++ doesn't give us.